Welcome to The Favorites, the podcast presented by Bet365. We are part of the Volume Podcast Network. We are sweating the end of some games live from our Tommy John home studios. I am Chad Millman, Chief Content Officer of the Action Network. This is our Sunday night episode in which we review the Faves Fives picks we put into the contest this morning. We dissect why we left some games out, preview the early lines we already like for week 4. I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, my BFF, my companion, my compadre, the man who gave out the Rams with Dr. Nick Giffen on our afternoon Bet What Happens live, Simon Hunter. Hello, Simon.
What a day, Chad.
Dude, a miraculous day, a beautiful day. We're not out of the woods in any respect for
No.
our 5 picks, but at least there was not a ton of anxiety with our picks. We're going to get to that. Catch every episode of The Favorites live on YouTube. For those enjoying it on YouTube right now, don't forget to give us a like and subscribe to the Action Network YouTube page. As a reminder, The Favorites podcast is presented by Bet365, and now new Bet365 customers can get $200 in bonus bets when you bet $5. Sign up using promo code FAVORITES. Deposit $10 and place a bet for $5 to get $200 in bonus bets. Those bonus bets can be used on spreads, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary. At Bet365, must be 21 or older and present in Arizona, Colorado, Indiana, Iowa, Louisiana, North Carolina, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Virginia, or 18 and older in Kentucky. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa. Terms, conditions, restrictions apply. All right. Here's a fun little stat that Evan Abrams has been touting all week that he just put into the script for us. The Rams have won outright. Underdogs of 6+ points, so 6 points or more, moved to 11-1 against the spread, 7-5 straight up this season, entering Monday Night Football. The Panthers covered as big dogs today. The Giants covered as big dogs today. The Broncos covered as big dogs today. The Giants, the Panthers, the Broncos, and now the Rams all won outright today. Insane day. What's amazing about this contest, Simon, is that we were on all these games, and yet somehow, instead of being 4-0 at the end of the day so far, just playing those games, we're 2-1. We have the Falcons plus 3.5 tonight against the Chiefs, the Jags plus 5.5 tomorrow against the Bills. If you believe, listeners, viewers, you could beat our picks this season, be our guest. Let us pay you $40,000. Sign up for the contest. favorites.actionnetwork.com. All right, let's run through the games, starting with the loser. And I got to emphasize here, just one loser so far through Sunday. I wish I could say we were undefeated, like I said up there at the top. Unfortunately, we never even considered taking our losing team out in all of these conversations. The good news was, Simon, this was a no-sweat day as far as the games we put into the contest. From the outset, the teams we picked either controlled the game or they were never in it. Starting with Tennessee minus 2.5 against Green Bay. Listen, Matt LaFleur is just a genius. Since 1990, the list of coaches who are above 500 straight up as a dog with at least 17 games, Matt LaFleur, 20-15, and Mike Tomlin, 50-49. So we're going to break it down. I'm curious to know sort of your perspective on all of it, and I'll take a break from babbling for a second.
Yeah, I mean, we did have a conversation. We talked about a couple other favorites, and that's what's fun but tough about this show, right? It's a partnership. we're both trying to find games we both like together. And today you definitely planted your flag in Denver, where I like Denver, but you loved it and you were spot on that one. I love the Ravens, and I never could get you there, so we ended up going with Tennessee, which is another game I loved. So, yeah, Will Levis throwing a pick six and just being awful. That's life bet in Tennessee. They're a bad team right now. So, like you said, that was brutal, especially on a day where that's our only miss. Everything else really came through. That's a tough one, but at the end of the day, that's gambling. I have no regrets with it, but yeah, I just, you know, going back, looking at our picks, it's like, what could I have said to make it different? But I just don't think I would have said anything. So no matter what, we were probably going to be either 3-1 at this point or 2-1.
Yeah, to me, I felt like the only game we might have taken out was the Broncos. Because I got the sense the whole time you were not sort of in love with that pick. I think you really wanted a seven
No, I
or in the
bet it, but it was more, yeah, like exactly. I was
yeah, like
just like, I wish the number was up there.
you
I just
wanted to
felt
know
like it had gone
what
too low.
you were always going to bet the game, and we'll get to
Yeah.
that game in a sec. But you just wanted a better number.
Yeah.
I ended up buying the seven, and regrettably paid a little extra on the juice. But
Yeah.
our theory with Green Bay, and this is going to be, I made a note already for Tuesday in our script. We got to talk about Green Bay, what Green Bay is doing on defense, and what a good coach Matt LaFleur is. Like, our theory was that Green Bay would not run the ball as well as did against the Colts. They did. Our theory was that Malik Willis would not play well as he did against the Colts. He did. Our theory was that this Titans team was really just a couple of mistakes away from being 2-0. They're not.
Mm-mm.
Our reality is that we knew we were stepping into it with Will Levis, and the Packers ended up with nearly 200 yards rushing. They averaged 5.5 yards per carry. Malik Willis threw for more than 200 yards, ran for 73 yards. Levis has a nice looking stat line, like 28, 34, 262 touches. Also fumbled and had a pick six, was sacked 8 times. You
There you
get
go.
what you bet.
I'm gonna say, like, he had nice stats, but you nailed it. It's like, I thought he'd have a good day. I thought it was a good matchup for their team, but the defensive plan, whatever it was just awful. And I knew we were in trouble early in the game where they weren't spying Malik, and it's just like,
Yeah.
why would you not do that of all things to do with this kid? Don't let him get comfortable running the ball, because that's going to let him build confidence. And like you just said, LaFleur, man, what can you say? The guy has been incredible, especially when he coaches his team as an underdog. So, yeah, like you said, our one miss, it's what's so brutal. Our one miss, we end up putting in the contest. And there's no way I could have gone back and have known, just because same thing we're going to talk about this upcoming week. They're 0 for 3 now, 0 for 3 against the spread, this Titans team. Eventually, the value will come the other way, but maybe me and you just stay away until they make a change of the QB position.
So it's funny you mentioned that. I would say there was one point where Brian Callahan, the coach, who has been sort of charmingly candid about his feelings for Will Levis
Yeah.
during the week after cussing him out last week and then saying how much he basically, in not so many words, kind of thought he was an idiot this week and became a great conversation starter for everyone in the media. I actually wondered, when will we see the Titans backup quarterback? I was surprised we didn't. And then I remembered I had to look it up who it was. It was Mason Rudolph, who, by the way, was brilliant last year with the Steelers. So why not put him in? Like, give your team a shot when they're playing so badly. I do wonder if there will be some kind of conversation in Tennessee now to get Mason Rudolph in, similar to Carolina, right? Like, get a guy, if you think your team might be close, get a guy in there who can do something with it. But Matt LaFleur, God, he is good. He just is.
I know. I love that you're just spending about 10 minutes in this game, though. Let's keep it moving.
All right. We're going to talk a lot more about Matt LaFleur. Here's one more thing
You're
I'll say.
gushing over Matt LaFleur right now. It's like, all right, dude, you just beat up Anthony Richardson and Will Levis, and Chad's going ape shit.
The Packers are also, they are flying to the ball defensively under Jeff Hafley. They have as many picks in 3 games as they did all of last season. That's 7 picks. Pretty good.
Yeah,
Pretty good. All right, let's talk about some winners.
there we go.
Denver plus 6.5 at Tampa. No notes, as they say in Hollywood. No notes. Denver
None?
was Denver was nearly flawless. Like
Oh, yeah.
all
It,
of the luck trends that we like to talk about, this was a 30-point luck gap, meaning the Bucks have been one of the luckiest, the Broncos have been one of the least lucky. We can get into all of it. Tell me what you saw.
yeah, first reaction would be we thought what Detroit would do, what the Denver did, right? Attack the secondary. Like, there were holes and openings in the secondary that you could attack, and they were able to do it. But unlike the Lions, who kept stalling in the red zone, they shockingly didn't, right? Bo Nix looked comfortable in the red zone, had a couple nice plays, pulling the ball down and running it, which is what we want to see out of him, right? I'd rather see him take a sack in the red zone than him keep throwing those interceptions. So the most surprising part was just how bad Baker played. He never looked comfortable. Denver's defense did a great job against them. And yeah, Chad, giving you your flowers, like that's the kind of number where it's the dream, right? When you get up double digits, when you have a 6.5 point dog, you're just like, I have no worries. Where we're going to talk about the Vikings. It's never really that far away because we're getting only a 1.5 or 2.5. But when you have that 6.5, 7.5 kind of numbers late in these games, it's just like there was no way that we weren't going to cover that number with Denver. So looking at the matchup wise going forward for them, I think they learned a lot about having Bo Nix kind of just get outside the pocket more. I think that was really pretty telling in that game that Sean Payton wanted to do that with him. So yeah, like once again, Denver's defense, that to me is probably the most shocking part, how well they played against that Bucks offense.
Yeah, I thought they played really well. I I thought there'd be more points scored in the game because Denver's defense has been good, not great, and because the reason we liked Denver so much was Vita Vea's out. Another
Right.
defensive lineman is out. Their secondary is incredibly banged up, and everything the Lions did wrong, Sean Payton did right this week with Bo Nix. Also, all of the luck trends, sort of the regressions on turnovers, fourth down conversions, performance in the red zone, scoring touchdowns, all the things that they have suffered from or that have happened to them went their way this week. Like, here's my list of things the Broncos did that indicated sort of a luck turnaround. Bo Nix, first 3 plays, 3 for 3, 59 yards, 2 pass plays of 20 plus yards. Scored a rushing TD at the end of the drive, even after he had to delay a game in the red zone. After picking off Baker Mayfield, the Broncos and Bo Nix fumbled. That fumble didn't count because the Bucks were offsides. They went for it on 4th and goal, inches away, pitched it wide. The guy barely snuck into the end zone. Like, they even got a fumble by Tampa in the red zone. This was just so enjoyable. Like, it was so stress-free. I couldn't have been happier with this game. I wish this was the only game that I was watching the whole day.
Yeah, it's also we got lucky where people overreacted to a lot of these teams after 2 games, right? And I think Bucks is one of those teams. The Saints, a game we didn't even talk about, where I really like the Eagles and you never got there, but I got why. The Saints were pretty damn scary through 2 games, and I understood your hesitation with it. And I thought to myself, man, they can't be this good. They had to come back to earth. I think just like the Saints, the Bucks, we saw Derek Carr come back to earth, and we saw Baker come back to earth, right? Even if Baker had a good game, as a whole, that team, the Bucks, have so many injuries to that defense. It was just like, man, if they can get the ball moving on Denver here, I just never thought we would have a problem with backing that side. And little did we know that just the Bucks, the whole team wasn't going to show up today, right? So, like you said, I think it was what it was 17-0 at one point or 14
Yeah.
nothing, whatever it was. I just said to myself, okay, Chad nailed this one. That this number is never going to be a sweat.
Here's the good news. We never have to bet the Broncos or Bo Nix again. We've been waiting for the exact right number and the exact right spot to take advantage of their number in an overinflation, undervalued spot. This was it. And by the way, you mentioned the Ravens, you mentioned the Eagles. I do want to like get into those games. So we are going to get through the last game that we did bet and that we did win. Um, because I think the games that we left out are just as fascinating as the games that we put in. So I do want to get to a bunch of those games.
Yeah.
The last game that we bet today, and again, reminder, we got the Falcons tonight plus 3.5, the Jags plus 5.5 tomorrow in our favorites contest. We had Houston at Minnesota plus 2.5. You've been on this since Sunday. Like it was 3.5 on Sunday last night when we did the show. You bet it then, kept betting it. You were on it today on Convince Me, 11 a.m. Eastern. Watch it on YouTube in the Action Network app. This was your best bet of the day on sides, even when it got down to 1.5. Here's something my son said to me while we were watching the game. I don't think there were any odds on anyone saying this in the world when this season started. Is Sam Darnold the MVP of the league right now?
No, but he is playing really good. I'll give him that. I mean, you can't hate on it where it's like he has complete confidence in the offense, and there was a couple throws in that game were big time throws, right? Like to the sideline, only his guy could catch it. Pretty impressive throws, but I told you my main reason for liking that spot. It was definitely Brian Flores in that
Yes.
defense, and you saw immediately that CJ was not comfortable. Like that, just the different looks he can set up with that defense in the Vikings is, to me, that's been the game changer this season. As much as Sam Darnold is as well. Like I'm not trying to knock Sam Darnold. He's played so well here, but that defense really showed up. And you know, you talked about it. Like it's always a little scary when we give out these numbers on Sunday, and then I'm betting it all week, and then we get to this point, and you're right. It was all the way down to 1.5, and it's just like, okay, at what point does this become the public chalky side? And luckily, ton of money came in late that gave me a little confidence on that Houston team where it's like, okay, at least there are people betting the other side. And that was just another no-brainer, right? I think it was 14-0 right from the get-go. And 14-0 with 2 turnovers as well, which is like pretty shocking for that Houston side. And once Sam kind of got into a groove, that offense was just clicking. So even when he got banged up, he came back in. He still looked pretty good. That's one thing I'm definitely going to be checking for. Is it sounds crazy, but definitely interested in his injury report and what he's like going forward. But he played to end the game, and we said the same thing about Herbert last week, and then it popped up this week. They didn't look right, so I wanted to bet. We'll talk again. The Lions coming up, but they're the team I kind of like this upcoming week, and now with the unknown of Sam Darnold, what his injury might be, they're definitely a team I'm going to wait on, not bet right away.
Sam Darnold's odds for MVP are 50-1 right now. His stats through 3 games: 657 passing yards, 68% completion rate, 8 touchdowns, only 2 picks, a 97-yard touchdown pass, wins against the Giants, Niners, and Texans.
It's good.
Why wouldn't you take a flyer on Sam Darnold? Kevin O'Connell is locked in, and he deserves as much credit as Matt LaFleur. They might be the 2 best coaches in the NFL right now. Matt LaFleur, Kevin O'Connell, 2 best coaches in the NFL are in the same division as the Bears. And you nailed it. You nailed it this game. You've been saying it all week. You just said Brian Flores, what he could do to this Texans defense and CJ Stroud, which is exactly what they did. He had 2 picks, 5 sacks. They were only 4 of 14 on third down. They were playing, it seemed like they were playing behind the chains, and definitely they were trying to come from behind this entire game.
Yeah.
Like you nailed, Simon, you nailed this handicap. Just nailed it.
That was a good week.
You know what's even better, Simon? This was our Tommy John Big Balls Bet of the Week.
Well, there we go.
I don't know if you know this or not, but ever since Tommy John started sponsoring the show, we are undefeated with our Big Balls Bet of the Week.
Are we really?
Yeah. Can you believe that? We're 3 we're
I'm
3
shocked.
and 0 with our Big Balls Bet of the Week. I went back and looked, and it's true.
Love it.
We are 3 and 0. I think I feel so much more comfortable making these big balls bets. We barely sweat these bets. Is that a coincidence?
And we definitely didn't last week with Green Bay, so I guess you're right. They've
I
been pretty good.
don't think it's a coincidence that ever since Tommy John started sponsoring it, we're more comfortable and less sweaty. All right. These are the games we left off the table. Panthers plus 6.5. I mean, we wanted to do it. I feel like we did a disservice to our fans because we believed in Andy Dalton and we
We gave
believed.
up the money line.
What's that?
We
That's
gave up the
true.
money line, the round
We did
robin.
give away on the money line. We gave away on the
Yeah.
money line. We didn't put him in the contest. We believed this team was better than their performance. It was a Bryce Young issue.
I just promised the people we wouldn't do it. I just they were, as much as we loved it, I just knew they didn't want to hear it. So it's just like let's let them see it, and then they'll maybe believe it. But I knew with a couple of psychopaths who were ride with us on our money line bets were like they'll bet their money line with us, and hopefully they did because we gave out them and the Giants, and that combo in the round robin was a pretty nice payout.
Pretty good payout for the Panthers, the Giants. I forgot who else was in the round robin. Not the parlay, but the round robin. Does anyone remember?
Vikings were in there.
Vikings were in there. That's right.
I think we have Atlanta left, and I'm guessing we lost on Arizona.
I think we might have had Arizona too.
Yeah.
We also felt like the Raiders had no business being 6.5 point favorites. Like, just weren't good enough. And then Gardner Minshew got replaced at the end of the game.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aiden O'Connell came in. Eagles. You love them. I was skeptical. I feel like we were kind of both right. Because at the end of the day, they needed a miracle. Like, if two Saints players don't bump into each other with one of them trying to guard Dallas Goedert running across the middle with 75 seconds left, they don't get the ball to him on 3rd and 16, and he doesn't sprint down the sideline and put them in a position to score a touchdown. That was a miracle cover. Like, you used up some of your good karma for the season on this.
So the team that lost their number 1 receiver, their number 2 receiver, and their left tackle got lucky in that game, Chad? Is that what you're saying right now?
A little bit.
Yeah. I mean, you're a Bears fan, so you don't even know what good quarterback play looks like, so I'm not going to argue with you on that.
Oh, my God.
So, yeah, I mean, dude, I was ready to go stick a bunch of for sale signs in Sirianni's yard. I mean, the coaching malpractice in this game in so many different ways was just brutal, but the reason I couldn't believe you didn't want to do it was just like, dude, we were catching Dennis Allen after 2 wins in a row when you couldn't get more hyped. And it was just like, this guy is going to blow it in some way. And they did. I mean, I can't believe they didn't win that game at home in that spot. Yeah, the Eagles defense came to play for sure watching all that game. Like, their run defense was really good. Jalen Carter probably had his best game as an Eagle. But the Barkley signing, I mean,
wow.
Yeah, like, even though he let us down last week, this game is really why he's such a special talent. Like, everything he does, he gets better as the games go along. And I believe the Saints hadn't given up like 100-yard rushing at home in like 3 years. And I think he put up 146. So that was definitely the right side. But I agree with you where, I thought, I don't know if the Eagles didn't get 3 or we had a turnover in the red zone, but all these things have happened where it's just like, you know what? People are right about Jalen Hurts. He's just loose with the ball. He doesn't protect it. He plays sloppy, but he had a big drive there at the end of the game that's just going to shut people up for another week. So I don't think him or Sirianni are out of the woods yet, but that's a big time win. Like, that Saints team, they had back-to-back putting up 40 points, and they had Chad scared, which is just mind-blowing because you hate Dennis Allen. When I think of people who shit on Dennis Allen, it's you. So yeah, we'll see going forward the Saints team, but I think all of us can take a deep breath and realize this is not the Rams from 2000, right? So I think we all can
Yes.
agree on that.
No, no. And my feeling on this was I was more worried about the Eagles without AJ Brown. And
That's
this is
fair.
another thing I want us to think
Yeah.
about next week, especially the spot that the Eagles are going
I don't
into.
think Devontae Smith's going to play either. I mean, he got hit by a defensive lineman that
Yeah.
probably has 200 pounds on him right into his head. Like he
Yeah.
seemed
Like
like he
Lane
was out
Johnson
cold on
has
the
a
field.
concussion now. Devontae
Yeah.
Smith has a concussion. This team is not in great shape. In addition to the mistakes, right? Like it's not just the coaching malpractice. It's an undisciplined team and they are shooting themselves in the foot. They are so talented when they are all healthy. And Sirianni, like, unless they are blowing people out, you cannot count on this team to necessarily win unless you
Yeah.
got two Saints bumping into each other and they're playing against Dennis Allen. And even
That's
then,
fair.
like it was a miracle, you
But
know? I
yeah,
also
it's just they're again though, they're what, a catch away from Barkley for being 3-0 right now, and
I
three
know.
really big wins to start the season. So it is tough where it's like I agree with everything you're saying, but it's like they have so much talent that every week's gonna be hard to take against them unless we're getting a decent amount of points. So they're a team that game right there kind of feels like they determined their season, right? If they would have lost that game,
Yes.
things could have got ugly pretty quick for Sirianni and that Eagles team. So that was a huge win for that Eagles team.
Also, you might be able to credit me for the win. I may have jinxed the Saints because when they were about right before that 3rd and 16 miracle play, I put in my notebook New Orleans and Minnesota 3-0. Who'd have thunk it?
Oh God.
I did it for you.
Yeah, not
Uh,
so fast. Lee Corso.
yeah. Colts -1.5. I liked it the whole week. You were suspect. I actually think we were both right on this one too. Like, even
Yeah,
even though
thank God we
Caleb,
didn't bet that game.
oh my God, even though Caleb Williams like consistently confused Colts defensive backs for Bears receivers, this game was 7-3 until the last plays of the third quarter. It was 14-9 with 5 minutes left in the game. The Bears even had a shot like in the final couple of minutes. The Colts did exactly what we said they were going to do, right?
Yeah.
They were going to run the ball against a middling Bears rush defense. They gained 150 yards. They had multiple explosive runs, including a long Jonathan Taylor run. Um, so like I feel like this is similar to the Saints and the Eagles in that I wanted to bet it, ended up being the right side. You were skeptical. You were probably right as well. I'm really glad we didn't put it in the contest.
Yeah, I would say though, if you're a Bears fan, the things to be excited about is whenever you do get rid of this offensive coordinator, there is so many things to build off with Caleb Williams. Like there are little things he does. You're just like, man, this kid is so incredibly talented. But whatever offense you guys are running, I just hate it. I've watched too much Bears. I care to even admit to this point through 3 games. But yeah, the Colts team, Anthony Richardson. I think we talked a little bit about coming to the year where it's just like this kid just needs game reps. It's going to be a lot of ugly, but there's going to be some good in there. And that pick he threw into the end zone was just atrocious. Like
Yeah.
it's something you don't really see in the pros, how bad it was, where it's like there was 3 guys in front of the ball and he threw it right to your guy. Man, that was just so bad. So the Colts team going forward, Chad, I don't know. I'm not going to bet them as confident as I am. I think it's all going to be about our situations and the different matchups where,
Yes.
some teams will match up well for them, but we talked going into this game, their secondary is really suspect. And I think Caleb almost threw for 400 yards against them. Like, I think it was like 380 what he put up, which, I mean, you've watched him as well. Like, that's an insane amount for even him. So, yeah, that one's right. Like, it wasn't even one of my bigger bets. But I remember early in the week we were talking about it, and it's just like, yeah, you're right. The Colts were 0-2 back against the wall. It's just like the Rams today, right? You back these
Yeah.
teams that are super desperate, and they usually find a way. And they certainly found a way. And it's just the Bears can stop shooting themselves in the foot.
The only bright side I wrote to my buddies in our Bears text chain that is like so apoplectic and upset and talking about the offensive coordinator. Uh, I
Yeah.
told everybody it happened to be on one of Caleb Williams' picks in the second half. It was his 32nd pass of the game. And that's when I told everybody that for our betting investment club, I had bet a parlay of DJ Moore over 62 and a half receiving yards, which you gave out on Convince Me, which he got on a Hail Mary deflection at the end of the first half, where he ended up being down at the one and the Bears didn't score, but it got him to 77 yards in the first half. And Caleb Williams over 31 and a half passing attempts, thanks to Dr. Nick, your co-host on Bet What Happens Live today.
Yeah.
So we did win that parlay. Made me all the happier. Even though we didn't win the game, we did win a nice little parlay.
And if you haven't,
Baltimore, go ahead.
I was gonna say, if you haven't listened to me in chat and checked out Convince Me, you are really missing out, right? Sean Kerner, one of the other pickers on the show, he had a 16-0 streak heading into that Sunday show.
Yes.
And, today, Chris Raybon, I believe he's 6-0 on his picks in the app. So he went 3-0 on the show. I went 3-0 on the show. And, we're through 3 weeks here. The worst week I've had on that, my worst picks on that show are 3-1. So, week 1, I went 3-1. Week 2, I went 3-0. And it's looking like week 3, I'm going to go 3-1 again if Atlanta doesn't come through for us tonight. So, that Convince Me show has just been money this year. And, like you already talked about, we bet dogs and unders. It's been a great year for dogs and unders.
Tell me again, why you didn't make me pick Baltimore?
I mean, you were being soft about it, Chad. Let's be honest. You were just like, I gave you all these stats from Evan that were just insane. It was just like, it's Lamar against the NFCs, 20-1, straight up. All we needed him to do was straight up win, and it was money in the bank. But your hesitation was, I don't trust Baltimore's defense, which doesn't look too crazy every time we talk about it. They just let them come all the way back, right?
Yeah.
They're up 28-6. The game ended 28-5. So your
28-25.
reasoning for it is valid. Like, they don't really have an identity on defense. But my reason to you was they might have one of the worst run defenses in football and one of the worst run games in football offensively, Dallas. Like, that's a big issue this season. We saw it today. I mean, the Ravens could get anything they wanted running the ball, especially with Derrick Henry. So, that was my Scooch Roulette pick. Never in doubt until that very end there. But, it's tough we missed on it, but your hesitation was valid. I was just like, I can't see this team being 0-3 against the spread and 0-3 straight up to start the season, that Ravens team. They were unlucky in their first 2 games. So, great to see them bounce back, even though they don't have a starting kicker on their team. Justin Tucker, another miss today. I can't take it. Yeah. No, he it's crazy how they just age like that, kickers.
It's insane what has happened to him. I honestly don't think. Do you think we would have replaced Tennessee with the Ravens? Like, was that what we were going to do?
Yeah, because we were talking about replacing a favorite, because I knew there was no chance you were going to take Denver out. And I wasn't really pushing it either, because it was just like, we're getting a good number in the contest. It wasn't 5.5 anymore. It was up to 6.5. So it's like, we'll keep that. Vikings was a no doubter, 2.5. Maybe the only hesitation I had today when I woke up was our Jaguars pick. Just thinking about it. But I don't think I ever would have tried to make you switch it out, just because I've already bet it so much this week. So, like I said all the time, Chad, it's hard. We need to try to be both on the same side, and it's rare that I can convince you that Sunday morning on a side you don't love. And your hesitation on the Ravens, like I said, was valid. That defense going forward, that's going to be the reason we're a little scared to take them if the number is not right? But we talk Lamar under 3 points. So if he's less than 3-point favorite, now he's 23-7 against the spread in his career. It's damn good.
It's really.
That's why I remember I took him to Scooch Roulette. You're like, oh my God, you're taking the chalk favorite. And it's just like, chalk sometimes wins. And that was one of those sometimes that wins.
All right, let's talk about week 4 lines here.
Yes.
Bears are 1-point favorites at home.
You liking that spot against the Rams?
I don't hate it.
No, you should like it. That is, I'm with you. I would not bet it yet because I do think we might be able to get a plus number. What do you
Yeah,
think?
I know, I agree, especially with the
I
Rams,
think
the
it
way
might flip.
they came back today, but there is a big difference between coming back against division rival who you are so familiar with at home and then going on the road. Like think
Yeah.
about last week, the Rams got blown out by the Cardinals in the same way the week before they had
Mm,
played so well. This
agree.
is geared for a letdown, and the Bears are in a position to overachieve, learning from mistakes, playing against a team that is so beat up. Like we don't know who's going to be on the field
And it's actually a
next week.
great matchup for your defense against this
Yes,
Rams team.
exactly. So I saw that and I immediately thought, oh yeah, I like the Bears
I'm
in this
going to
spot.
throw a little bet on and just in case you're in, the professionals do come in on the Bears, but I can see the public hammering this Rams team now. Everyone hates this Bears team. I just think everyone's totally off them at this point. So I think we might be get a good number on that.
The other game that jumped out at me, don't laugh at me.
Yeah.
Green Bay is a very short home favorite against Minnesota.
Yeah, honestly, I bet it just because I bet it before the games today, just in case Jordan Love did come back.
That's what I'm thinking.
And yeah, so I like that too for early bet. Yeah, even though that is tough throwing Jordan Love in against his Vikings defense because that they're gonna be bringing the heat on his ass. There's no doubt they're gonna make him test that leg. But I think you're right. I'm gonna grab it now just because this is a key number at 2.
Look at that. You think I'm right. I got two games that I'm looking at, and you're like, oh, yeah. You know what? You're
You know
right.
what I like though, just betting these ugly home favorites.
Probably.
I'm gonna give you a chalk bet that I made right away before we even came on the air.
Okay, tell me.
Cowboys -5.5 Thursday night football in the Meadowlands. Don't they beat the Giants by 30 points every time they play?
Interesting.
This is the only team Dak beats up. So this number look ahead was -7. After the loss and the Giants win, it's moved under a key number now. So I hate it because it's so chalky and it's a standalone island game. But I'm just gonna grab it now because I think it goes back above the 6, Jed. So this is just grabbing the number before it moves. No way this will be our big balls, Simon says, any of that, most likely. But I'm gonna grab it now. I love this Cowboys in this bounce back spot. They've lost 2 games in a row, both at home, both embarrassing. This is the type of spot where they go on the road and they just beat the absolute shit out of the Giants. They're not that good of a team. They played Deshaun Watson today, which is the reason they look so good, right? I think you said
Yeah.
they had 8 sacks or something like that. So, yeah, this is a nice spot for the Cowboys to get right, and just a typical letdown spot for this Giants team.
Any other games? I have one more game that I'm spying a little bit, just a little bit.
The only other game that really jumped out, and it's just in case our Jaguars bet comes through, it's the Ravens at -2.5. I just gave you that. I just gave you the Lamar stat.
Yeah, it's interesting to me. I was leaning the other way.
The Bills.
No, I was looking at the Jags as 4.5 point dogs
Oh,
on
oh,
the
oh.
road against the Texans, thinking that number is going to get smaller if our Jags bet
I like
comes through.
that thought. I
That's what I liked.
Yeah, I'll be honest though. If the Jags cover and do well against the Bills,
You expect them to let down.
yeah, I'm gonna hammer Houston at home in those kind of spots. So I get where you're coming from. That's actually an interesting side, but I can't touch it. I honestly am glad you didn't bring it up. I thought you were gonna try to get me on Denver here right away. It's 7.5.
No, no,
That's how I feel about it. Where it's
I'm
just
out.
like, man, is that tempting? They know us though. They know us
Dude.
pretty well. Where it's like, if this was 6.5, 7.5, 7, I wouldn't touch it. But it's 7.5. I'm just like, should I take Denver here? But you're right. You're right.
Guy, what did I
You got
say?
better
What did I
judgment.
say? That was the exact right spot this week. We never have to bet the Broncos again as long as we live. We are done. We are done. We can go back to betting the Panthers every week.
So I'll tell people right now, though, another really sharp side that I'm not going to bet right now because I think I'll get better value on as the week goes along. The Bucks are +2 right now against the Eagles. So This is Eagles on a back-to-back road after a huge emotional win against the Saints, playing against a Bucs team that just got embarrassed and blown out. I mean, all the money's going to come on the Eagles, right? So I'm going to wait, see if I can get above a key number of +2.5, +3. But that's actually a really nice spot for the Eagles to have a letdown. So yeah, people don't be mad, but the Bucs, I can already tell that's gonna be a side me and Chad are most likely gonna end up on. It's just they have had the Eagles number the last couple of years. And I know you can be like, well, in the playoffs, that was like the Eagles were just a totally different team. And it was a season from hell. I totally get that position. I honestly think it's the coaching match. But Todd Bowles has just done well against Sirianni. He kind of knows what the Eagles want to do. So that's a number that I didn't want to give out on the show yet, but it's something I want people to be aware of. That like if this does get up to 3, no, you should grab it right away because I'm definitely going to grab it when it gets there.
Well, look, we just don't know what this Eagles team is going to have.
That's what I mean. They're so banged up.
Yeah. Like, we just don't know at this point. All right. So the early lines that we're sort of touching on, Bears -1, Packers
Definitely Bears.
Pat, what's that?
Definitely Bears.
Definitely Bears. Packers -2. You mentioned Cowboys -5.5 at the Meadowlands on Thursday Night Football.
That's my biggest like early bet right now.
We're hedging right now, like Baltimore 2.5, Jags +4.5. I'm interested in Jags. You're interested in Baltimore.
Yeah.
Depending on the outcome of the game on Monday night, and we're not betting it yet. We're hoping the number goes higher. We're hoping the number goes up to 2.5, 3.
Yeah.
The Bucks as underdogs against the Eagles. All right. As a reminder, the Favorites podcast is presented by Bet365, and now new Bet365 customers get $200 in bonus bets when you bet $5. Sign up using promo code FAVORITES, deposit $10, and place a bet for $5 to get $200 in bonus bets. Those bonus bets can be used on spreads, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older and present in Arizona, Colorado, Indiana, Iowa, Louisiana, North Carolina, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Virginia, or 18 and older in Kentucky. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa. Terms, conditions, restrictions apply. Catch our next episode live on Tuesday, 1:30 p.m. Eastern on Action Network's YouTube channel and in the Action Network app. We'll cover the whole NFL Week 4 board and announce our Week 3 contest winner. You can still win weekly prizes in the contest. Favorites.actionnetwork.com. Download us from Spotify, Apple Pods, wherever you get your pods. Rate, review, subscribe. Leave us 5 stars. Say whatever you want. Feedback is a gift. Till Tuesday. Love you.